What is the craziest thing you've done while being Story 1. I can't be bothered setting up yet another throwaway account right now. Story 2. I was a busboy at a restaurant closing for the night. My girlfriend at the time, who never did this, randomly started sending me and telling me what she wanted to do when I got home. I have never mopped a floor so quickly in my life. It had been a while since we had done anything, and the excitement of her boldness had me worried that I wouldn't last long. I clocked out, got in the car, turned on one of our homemade videos, and it while driving down the 101 South heading toward the valley in LA. Got home, and she was waiting for me in her panties. I did not hesitate to handle it. We had really hot on the couch that ended with her whispering for me to inside of her, which was also pretty rare in our relationship due to pregnancy scares. The whole thing was hot, but looking back at it, driving through a grade at night into LA while it was pretty stupid. Story 3. Craziest? Try stupidest. I was FWB with a woman a few years back. She lived 60 miles away from me, and I had a old van. She talked up what she was going to do to me if I drove to her. I used the last of my money on gas, drove down to her, and we all day. That part was great, the drive back. Not so much. I got a flat on the freeway on the drive home. I forgot my spare too. One day was wonderful, the next was terrible. Never drove that distance again. Story 4. My pillow while on FaceTime with my GF while she watched. Story 5. This random lady at the lake wanted to me and I let her. She wasn't pretty or anything. No lie, it was one of the best I ever got. She told me to come back to that spot every Friday and she would me every time, but I never went back. I wanted to. She complimented my size and even said I have good tasting nut. I've never told anyone about it. I got tested after just in case. I guess she just gets off on anonymous. Story 6. Swap on Reddit. Story 7. My GF under the table at a wedding while my dad was sitting right next to me and aunt and uncle across the table. Story 8. Spent $200 on Uber, $100 there and $100 back. Why I did that. I was stupid. Story 9. A guy I had been talking to here and there wanted to come by my job at the time to bring me Starbucks. I was really and wanted to skip all the getting to know you stuff, so I had him come by my work one day. I was 18, and at my first MW job, I told my dad I'd be working late. Not true. I was clocked out and went to his car in the parking lot. He went to the other side of the lot of the big shopping center I worked at, and we were making out, all up on each other, and I gave him head until he didn't have anything in his car for me to clean up what I didn't sallow, since he did a big load, so I had to use my Taco Bell apron to clean it up. I then had him drop me back off at my work so I could use the bathroom to finish cleaning up. One of my coworkers noticed I had came back after an hour of me being clocked out and just looked confused. Story 10, matched with a woman on my spash. I was like 22 and proceeded to drive like 2 hours to meet her. She lived with her parents, so we basically messed around in my truck. The woods. I'm June, in Texas. I was covered in sweat and mosquito bites. Turns out she was a so my truck smelled like poon for 2 months. Story 11. With my GF plus her best friend. That led to something like magic. Friends, before we continue our video, I want to remind you of the importance of subscribing to our channel. We are also waiting for your comments and likes. Thank you. Let's move on to the video. Story 12. When I was a teenager, I could only really just access certain PG magazines or newspaper clippings, brochures for my adult literature time. I also got a bit high one night and decided to have the ultimate. In theory, I was going to surround myself by my reading materials and be completely immersed by all my at the same time. So there I was, rock hard, surrounded by everything I had, now spread out across the bed, floor, etc. The intention was to look at everything at least once before finishing to complete the ultimate in a captured environment. In reality, I lasted all of about 2.5 seconds and jizzed basically all over most of my collection. This was not the desired outcome, as this meant the untimely retirement of nearly half the collection. I was so angry and disappointed, I just scrunched everything up and threw it away in the outside bin. That night, however, the neighbor's intelligently challenged dog decided to look through our bins, leaving my collection out on the open grass overnight. A nosy elderly lady found it, but thankfully, she somehow concocted the elaborate idea that it was some incredibly sick serial who decided to make a public shrine for the world to see, as that was the way this planet's going. Quite the roller coaster indeed. Story 13. Grew up pretty poor. Family bought a cantaloupe for a treat. They went out for a few hours, so I microwaved and molested the cantaloupe with my drilled a hole in the side and jammed her in. Felt amazing. Great relief. I cut it up and skinned the rinds so it looked like I ate it and threw all the melon guts in the woods. They never knew I humiliated a cantaloupe, but they were some pissed, thinking I ate the whole thing alone. Story 14. Friend at work. She was laughing when she looked over at my computer and saw me looking at the building plans because she asked me where in the office we could relax. Fortunately, our office buildings have a lot of showers. Story 15. I made her sit on top of the wardrobe with a basin of water and dip her fingers in it and flick the water over me on the bed while continually banging one foot on the wardrobe door and switching the light on and off with the other. When she eventually asked me when we were going to have sex, I completely lost it and screamed at her. What? In this fucking weather? Story 16. Drunk on a resort in the Dominican Republic, got so I went to my room, and as I was going in, I saw the maid was next door. Went in the bathroom and only to have the maid knock on the door 30 seconds later. This wouldn't be a major issue except the fact the curtains were open and the bathroom had frosted glass instead of actual walls. Well, my drunk didn't say anything, and I just got up and left back to the bar. Never mentioned it again. Until now. This is a good note to end on. Please write your stories in the comments. I'll be happy to add them to future videos. Also, you can rate our other videos. We would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.